So a raw vegan diet is a simple and gentle path to self-mastery. Not only is it a wonderful practice every day to be self-loving and to get intimate with our nutrition and whole food that is undenatured, it's a beautiful intimacy with our own self-love. But by facing the emotional component of what we've been running from our whole lives and these trauma patterns that we don't want to deal with, we come into a new heightened sense of spiritual growth and spiritual potential and self-mastery in our life that is really astounding. And
This is the Healthy Lifestyle Solutions podcast, and I'm your host, Maya Acosta. If you're willing to go with me, together we can discover how simple lifestyle choices can help improve our quality of life. Let's get started. After struggling for many years with chronic gut and skin inflammation, my next guest, Shane Sterling, finally healed himself with a raw vegan diet. He now helps hundreds of people juice fast and remove their own mucoid plaque through his group coaching program called Raw Vegan Heroes. In this conversation, Shane answers a lot of the questions and concerns that people have about the raw vegan diet. I hope that you find this beneficial. And also, I invite you to visit me on Instagram at Maya_HLS_podcast. Also, if you'd like to join our newsletter to learn more about programs that are happening, not just with us, but within the community, check out my link bit.ly/Maya Acosta. And as always, the full bio and the links for all of my guests can be found on our podcast, healthylifestylesolutions.org. And I hope you enjoy this episode. And welcome, Shane.
Maya, thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate it. I have been plant-based most of my life, 32 years off and on, and vegan for many years. And I just love this topic. And I've had so much healing in my life from raw foods that I love talking about it and helping people realize the value of raw food in their own lifestyle. So I'm really looking forward to this conversation.
Yes, and so am I. And by the way, you don't look 32. So, how in the world have you been fully raw? 32 years.
I'm 49,
No way.
actually.
You're lying.
Yes, I'm 49 years old. People never believe me. They think I'm in my 30s. And it's partly because I have lived a plant-based lifestyle most of my life.
Huh.
Yeah, I focus on whole foods and really minimize processed foods.
Mhm.
And that has contributed to, a reduction in my aging. And now I'll tell you, though, honestly, as a raw vegan, I've taken many years off the way I look. Like when I went raw, I went through a detox process. There was a couple years where I really did lose some weight and what didn't look and feel my best, but I stuck with it. And I've come out the other side now. I've been fully raw for 5 years. And now I look younger than ever before. If somebody's interested in an anti aging diet, I will talk more about how raw foods could be the solution for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll give you a little bit of background as to why I know about the raw vegan diet. Like some of us were impacted by influencers. So I should say that you are an influencer. You have close to 20,000 followers on your YouTube channel. You go by Raw Vegan Rising. When I came to this way of life in terms of whole plant based foods, it was about 6 years ago. And it was a combination of two people that really influenced me. One was Dr. John McDougall when I found his book at a Whole Foods. But then the other one that really got me to do it overnight was an influencer who was very athletic, lived in Thailand. I won't say more. Some people have already heard me talk about her. But she would do these kind of critique videos of celebrities and their diets. And she would emphasize over and over again that we don't need to harm animals, that we don't need to have processed foods, and that raw foods are really the key to health. So I went overnight and didn't know what the heck I was doing, Shane, which is again
Oh.
why I'm happy that you're here. So I started with the raw till 4, which is basically, and we can talk about all of this as we go on through our conversation, but raw till 4 is when all of your food is raw till 4 p.m. And then you can have your cooked food, which is still whole foods. It's not anything else. Um, you'll probably hear from a lot of people that say that it becomes a little bit harder to digest. They have a little bit of bloating that happens. And we hear it just from the whole food plant based lifestyle. People say the same thing. The legumes are too hard on my gut. and other things like that. So that's how I came to this way of living. At one point, I did have the shelves or in my counters in the kitchen full of papaya and bananas, and all the stuff that I was learning is fully part of the raw food diet. So I said all of that to say that I am very aware. And I also like the idea that this way of living minimizes destroying the nutrients in our foods, because even when we cook whole foods, we destroy the foods and we're left with very little nutrition. So, where should we start on this topic? Do we want to learn about how you got started?
Yeah, well, let me talk a little bit about it. So, first of all, eating raw food is simply just eating undenatured food. When we cook food and we use heat, it's called denatured. We change the food on a molecular level, and it denatures the proteins, it denatures the fiber, and it creates subtle, very, very, very subtle inflammation in the body, because these molecularly changed proteins are not normal for our body. So even though we do cook food, and we have been cooking food for hundreds of thousands of years potentially, none of us really know exactly how long we've been cooking food as a species. But the denatured proteins do cause inflammation in the body, and there's a scientific term for it called digestive leukocytosis. And that's more into the science of it, but denaturing the food doesn't actually help our nutrition. So if we keep the food raw, we retain all of the enzymes, the fiber, the proteins. There's volatile gases and hormones in the food as well, and all of these components, these phytochemicals, phytonutrients, help our body fight disease, stay young, provide the highest level of health. And since we've been eating these denatured food diets and we've grown up on cooked food, when we first start to eat raw food, we will have digestive struggles. We will have gas, we'll have bloating, things like this that make it seem like, oh, well, I'm not supposed to eat raw food because I have digestive struggles. But this is because our digestive system has become atrophied because we're eating denatured fiber. And so we have to build up strength. And if we build up strength in the digestive system to handle and process a raw food diet properly, we will experience the best health of our life. We will experience vibrant energy, sustainable energy, no blood sugar spikes on raw food, because the whole food with undenatured water, fiber, and enzymes and phytochemicals are released into our body as nature intended. So we will go to sleep with high energy, we will wake up with high energy, and we can reverse health issues. Most health issues that we have that are diagnosed by doctors are a form of inflammation, whether it's called multiple sclerosis, whether it's called lupus, whether it's called Hashimoto's, whether it's called psoriasis, whether it's called IBS. All of these things are inflammation in the body. And like I said, cooked foods are agitating the inflammation in our body, not to mention inflammatory foods like animal products and grains and cooked oils. So if we're eating a diet focused on these types of foods and processed foods, of course, crackers and processed carbohydrates, we're going to have inflammation. We get all these health issues and we don't realize it. But if we eat raw foods, it strips the mucus and the biofilms and the inflammation out of our body, just dissolves it right out. And all of a sudden, our circulation is high. We can improve the strength of our digestion. And that is going to create the highest level of vitality in our body possible. And I'm living proof, 49 years old. I've been raw vegan 5 years. I've been plant based most of my life. So this is definitely a path of incrementally becoming more raw as I've gotten deeper into my plant based diet, because it's not something that is easy to do right away. Like I said, we become weak. I recommend, now I'm a coach, okay? I coach people on how to go raw vegan, how to detoxify their bodies to prepare for a raw food diet, and how to clean out their gut and help their digestive system transition to a raw food diet. This is what I do for a living, a full-time coach on this. And so what I recommend, and this is actually really an exciting part, is starting with a juice fast to clean out all of the impacted waste in the GI tract. A juice fast is the most efficient and simple way to clean out everything that's accumulated in our digestive system over our lifetime. And so juices are gentle, they're natural. We're flooding our body with nutrition and phytonutrients and minerals and water. So it's quite enjoyable to do a juice fast. And the sole purpose of juice fasting, in my opinion, as I coach people, is to remove the biofilms, what I call mucoid plaque, out of the digestive system. And this does two things primarily. One is it improves our absorption and utilization of food. So if we have absorption issues like anemia, we don't need to turn to animal products or meat for iron. We clean out our digestive system, clean out the biofilms, then we can absorb iron in plant-based foods better. Okay. And then secondly is to improve the bowel transit time. And this is the whole key to health. Bowel transit time. How fast does the food move through your digestive system? Raw foods move through the digestive system very fast. And so if we eat fruit and salad and raw nuts and seeds and we have gas and bloating, guess what? There's impacted waste that is accumulated in your digestive system that is not allowing the fruits and salads to move through quickly. And so it sits there and it ferments and it creates gas and bloating. And then we say, oh, well, I can't eat raw food because it makes me bloated and I can't digest it. When all we need to do is clean it out. Do a juice fast to start and help transition to the raw food diet, more raw foods even in your diet to experience the immense benefits. You want to feel better, eat more raw food. And the first way to do that is to do a juice fast. And juicing is really fun. And it's a beautiful way to learn about how to give your body high level nutrition. And it's something that you can carry on with as you finish your juice fast and eat more raw foods. You can incorporate the juices into your lifestyle, and that just gives you more vitality and more energy than ever before. So it's a great way to start. It's a great introduction. It resets the neural connections with where life force truly comes from. Like if we eat, for instance, a bowl of pasta, and we say, oh, that pasta was filling. I had pasta for dinner and that was filling. Well, that there's no life force in pasta. Now, if we have juices, if we have a juice fast, if we're just going, 30 days on nothing but juices, it resets the neural connections between the gut and the brain as to where true life force comes from. The electrons in the living juices and the living foods, the enzymes that transport the electrons from the juice and the raw foods into the mitochondria of the cell. The enzymes are the living life force. The electrons in the food, undenatured food, is filled with light energy, literally biophotons that are measured by science. So these types of components, molecules, and connections in the gut and the brain will completely transform our life, completely transform our health, light us up in ways that we could never even believe possible. And I'll just say what led me to this, to become raw myself, was inflammation, was skin. I had chronic seborrheic dermatitis for 5 years, and I struggled for 5 years to figure out how to get rid of the dermatitis. And I read forums online. I tried salt scrubs on my scalp because seborrheic dermatitis is like chronic dandruff. And I would try coconut oil soaks, and I would try apple cider vinegar rinses in the shower. And I tried all the things that I ever read online. None of it worked until I went raw vegan. And I started with a 40-day juice fast. I got out about 25 pounds of mucoid plaque out of my digestive system. And I will say the average person does have about 20 to 25 pounds of waste that's accumulated in their GI tract. And I've learned this because I've coached hundreds and hundreds of people through juice fasting at this point in my life. The average person's got about 20 pounds. Even if you're 5'2" and 115 pounds, you've probably got 20 pounds of waste in there. Okay. And this isn't food you've recently eaten. This is impacted old stuff that's accumulated. And so I did a 40-day juice fast. I eliminated about 25 pounds. That's what I was able to measure approximately. And then I stayed 100% raw after my juice fast. And guess how long it took for my seborrheic dermatitis to go away completely?
7 days.
It took how
I
many?
said 7 days.
7? 7 7 days. That's what I thought, Maya. I thought, okay, my juice fast will heal my skin inflammation, maybe a week or two of being raw, maybe a month. No, it took a year and a half. My dandruff, my chronic dandruff, which was actually coming down onto my face, I had it in my eyebrows, I had it in my beard. It took a year and a half for it to go away. And what this taught me was that the accumulation of acids and waste buildup in our body that leads to these types of chronic inflammation conditions takes a while for the body to eliminate. Okay, the lymphatic system is our main waste elimination system in the body. And it takes time for the lymphatic system to pull the acids and the waste and the heavy metals and the toxins out of the interstitial fluids, the fluids in between the cells. And so, what I thought was only going to be a couple month journey was a year and a half journey. And at the 2 year mark, when I stayed raw for fully raw for 2 years, that's when I realized the power of raw food to help our body stay in a detoxifying state where I'm not accumulating waste anymore. And I've been, of course, dermatitis free now since that time. I have no sign of any inflammation in my body whatsoever. I have the most robust microbiome, robust digestive system. I can eat any amount of raw food I want with no gas, no bloating, perfect digestion, flat stomach. I have an incredibly good absorption system. I can build muscle easy. I work out at the gym. I have good muscle mass. I'm 6'2", about 195 pounds, low body fat percentage. I'm lean, muscular, because I absorb my nutrition better, and it's all raw. So we have these fears that raw food is dangerous or raw food isn't complete nutrition, when all nutrition, every single nutrient known to mankind, comes from the soil, from plants, from bacteria, or from the sun. And we can get everything we need in raw plants. And all we got to do is focus on the macronutrient balance and the micronutrient balance. So that's what I do as a long-term raw vegan now. I focus on a balance of macros, proteins, carbs, and fats. And I focus on micronutrients, which are superfoods and nutrient density, and a variety of foods that are nutrient dense. And this has provided me with the ability to maintain a raw vegan diet, look and feel amazing. I'm stronger than most of the people in my gym. I'm very strong. I work out 5 to 6 days a week. And so I have that strength. And now I'm a speaker. I talk about it and I coach people on it because I've learned the secret of how to use raw food to transform our health and our life. I can't not talk about it because it's so life-changing. So that's kind of a synopsis there of my story and what's led me
Yeah.
to this lifestyle.
Wow. Lots of information and, of course, lots of questions.
A lot of people have a lot of questions. I understand that hearing me speak right now, your listeners might be going, well, wait a second. I've heard this and this and this. Where do you get your protein? As a raw vegan, you're not eating any protein. What are you talking about? Fruit and salad, nuts and seeds doesn't have any protein. So if there's specific questions, I'd love to answer them. You know, if you know of any, if there's any questions that have come to your mind, Maya, let me know and I will answer them.
Well, let's start with fasting because you did mention that you, as a health coach, guide your own clients towards transitioning from wherever they are to a raw food diet. So let's start with fasting, which is what I believe you said you recommend. That's initially the first thing. Many of our listeners hear the message about eating whole food, plant based. How difficult is it to transition people to get them to fast? And are there some individuals who you recommend not fast at all because of health conditions?
Such a good question. Let me just start by saying juice fasting is optimal for 99% of people, even if they don't realize it. And I'm going to tell you why. And first and foremost, you cannot hurt yourself on a juice fast, no matter what your health conditions are. Even if you have severely degenerative conditions in your body, severe type 2 diabetes, or degenerative kidneys, or adrenal fatigue and burnout, all of these myths that we hear about juice fasting, that it will create adrenal fatigue or that it will be dangerous to juice fast. None of it is true. It's literally not true. There's so much fear. And so I have helped hundreds and hundreds of people through juice fasting. I've witnessed hundreds and hundreds of juice fasts. There's no way to hurt yourself. It's completely benign. It's gentle. It's it's perfectly designed for the human body to gently regenerate and to clean and to cleanse. Now, most people think of water fasting, and most people think of like the master cleanse, which is the cayenne pepper and the maple syrup and the lemon juice. And they think of these types of things. And the current one that's really trending right now is the Zen cleanse, which is a 3-day cleanse that you can purchase as a kit. None of this is what people generally need. Let's just talk about water fasting for a second, which is solely for the purpose of autophagy, is what it's called. And we know this because we can listen to experts and doctors who are experienced in water fasting, and we know that that's for recycling damaged proteins in the body, recycling damaged cells in the body. And while water fasting has its place and it is beneficial for autophagy, that's not what most people need. Most people don't need autophagy. Most people need to clean the waste out of their digestive system. 99% of the health problems that people are experiencing come from a backed up sewer system in the body, because the body is just two fluids and a bunch of cells, and every single human body is exactly the same. Our degenerative conditions have become different. Yes, we all have different health issues, and we all have different weight and problems, and we live in different geographical locations, and we're all different ages. Yes, but we all have the exact same biology, which is blood, lymphatic fluid, and cells. The blood brings the nutrition to the cell. The cell utilizes the nutrition, creates energy, and excretes waste, acid waste. The lymphatic system removes the acid waste. And where does the lymphatic system drain to? It's a gravity fed elimination system. It drains into the bowels. If we have any pressure built up in the bowels, any impaction, anything obstructing extremely fast bowel transit time, we're going to have an accumulation of the acids. That's the natural byproduct of metabolizing energy. And so it's like having the sewer system come up into the kitchen. Imagine your sewer gets blocked in your house, and all of a sudden you have sewage coming up in your kitchen sink. That is dermatitis. That's psoriasis. That's Hashimoto's disease. That's lupus. That's any inflammation issue. That's skin problems. That's acne. That's anything that comes up through the liver, the kidney, the lungs, the skin, the eyes, the hair, the nails, all of it. So the first thing we need to do is get the Roto-Rooter guy in to clean the pipes out. That's juice fasting, not water fasting. And you can't accomplish that with a master cleanse with lemon juice and cayenne pepper and maple syrup, because you can't sustain long enough. Now, the advantage of a juice fast is that you're using fresh made juices that you make at home in your juicer. Okay, this is not store-bought juice. This is not something that is going to be like a juice shop down the street delivering juices to your house. We're talking, you go to the store, you buy the produce, and you make the juice fresh at home. And you make it in large quantities. So in my protocol that I recommend for my clients, I recommend a minimum of 6 quarts of freshly made juice per day. That's a gallon and a half. Okay, just to put that into perspective. And that's minimum. Sometimes we want to do 8 quarts a day or more. That would be 2 gallons of juice per day. This is fresh made vegetable juices and fruit juices. And that quantity of juice fuels our body with calories. It fuels our body with nutrients, and it allows us to go an extended amount of time. Now, I've worked with people privately in my coaching that have gone 90 days, 120 days on juices. Now, you can't do that on water. Okay. Water fasting doesn't even address the impaction of waste in the digestive system. Water fasting is not a Roto-Rooter for the bowels, and neither is the master cleanse. You can't go 120 days on maple syrup and lemon juice. But fresh made juices with greens and herbs and cucumber and celery and apples and parsley and cilantro and ginger and turmeric and lemon and pineapple juice and apple juice and orange juice, these types of juices can fuel our body at an exceptional level. And one thing people don't realize about true detoxification that prepares our body to thrive on raw foods long term and to have exceptional vitality and health for the rest of our life is that the energy that we give our body helps our body detoxify. We want to give our body energy. Now, if we overeat cooked foods, if we overeat pastas and grains and cooked oils and processed foods, we're going to get fat. We're going to get fat. But if we overconsume fresh juices and fruits and vegetables, our body does not convert those simple carbohydrates into body fat. It does not. What it does is it provides our body with all of the energy it needs to stay in a state of detoxification, so the bowels don't get backed up, so that the lymphatic system doesn't get backed up. we will never develop inflammation issues. We can not only reverse Hashimoto's and lupus and MS and all these things, but we will never develop it again as long as we live because the lymphatic system's moving. So this is why juice fasting is so unique and so efficient and so gentle. We cannot hurt ourselves. Okay, I have about probably 15 private clients right now that I'm talking to every day on their juice fast, assisting people through their juice fast, and every single one expresses fear, concern. Am I doing this right? Am I going to hurt myself? And you cannot hurt yourself, no matter how degenerative you are, no matter how obese, no matter how bad your diabetes is, no matter how bad your adrenals are. You can't. This is the first place to start, and there's no better time to start. And if you want to transform your life and feel better and look better and have the energy you've dreamed of your whole life, and have the health you've dreamed of your whole life, now's the time. Start with a juice fast. Do it. Jump in. Go the distance. Now, I do recommend proper guidance. I do recommend following a protocol. I have developed a protocol over the years that makes juice fasting very efficient, very cost effective, and not too time intensive. I don't recommend juice fasting for longer than necessary. It is an intervention detox protocol. It's not a lifestyle, it's not a diet. It's a temporary intervention protocol for roto-rootering the bowels. And so we want to get in and do it as efficiently as possible and get out so we can come back to a healthier diet and lifestyle. So the protocol that I've developed is for that purpose specifically. It's for just making it very efficient.
Absolutely. Wow, this sounds amazing. I'm thinking a couple of notes that I took here that I've taken. So in terms of the benefits of fasting, well, first of all, is I recall you kind of emphasizing what I've heard in the past, which is it's not what we eat, it's what we absorb. So we
Mm,
are not really going to absorb the nutrients from these wonderful plants if if our gut is not optimized. So you help detox, probably support the gut microbiome, and then also kind of how would you say, like kickstart our palates so that after we've done this whole detox, now our gut is craving, desiring, and enjoying the healthy raw foods. You also said that the gut sort of atrophies. So that's the reason that why initially when people are consuming raw foods, they feel gassy or they feel like they have digestive issues and then they give up on this way of living. So the fasting is for that purpose. So one question that I do have, or actually you said fears, like people have fears. One fear that I have really because I'm not afraid of juice fasting is being hungry, um, feeling weak, and the other one is what I feel becomes the emotional component of it, which if you'd like to talk about it, it's the things that are going on within that start to come up. And I don't know if journaling is part of what you coach or what you do, but when I did that 7-day master cleanse, I remember being out. They recommend that you stay at home and stay and try to avoid things that stimulate you, the smells of foods and all that. But when I went through that 7-day cleanse, I remember it became very apparent that we are at the mercy of food in general. And I became even more aware of how everywhere we go, alcohol and processed foods are associated with events and activities and gatherings and everything else. So you become very aware of all the marketing that has happened that keep us eating the way that we eat. So can you talk about that emotional component? I don't know if you know what I'm referring to, just feeling
Oh, I
angry
do.
and moody and disturbed.
Oh, I do. Yeah, my it's my favorite aspect of helping people with this transition because our fear of being hungry and grumpy from raw food is that what's really happening is that we're transitioning our microbes. For one thing, we're transitioning our microbes to process raw foods and to handle our species specific diet and to really thrive at the highest level. So we do have to go through a physical transition where we just have a different microbiome in our body. That means that some bacteria are going to die off, and that's uncomfortable, and it's so worth it. It's so worth it to go through that process. If we're hungry, we just have more juice. We lean into the juice if we're juice fasting, okay? And that will change the microbiome over time. And then when we come back to a raw vegan diet, we lean into the raw foods, and the hunger goes away. The cool thing, and for me now, raw vegan for 5 years, I'm never hungry. I eat because I know I need to, and I am intentional with my calories and my diet and my nutrients. But I don't get sensations of hunger. I don't get blood sugar spikes or drops. I don't get hangry. It's it solves that problem permanently for the rest of your life. That's one of the powers of raw food. And we use food to speak into the emotional component here, which is really my favorite topic of all, is that we use food to hide our emotions, to numb ourselves out, to really say that, I don't want to feel these feelings. So I'm going to just eat ice cream and bread, and that'll just kind of numb me out. And we are trained to do this from birth. Our parents did it, and it's no fault of anyone's. But yes, this is how our society has trained us, like you said, with alcohol and food everywhere associated with all events of life. So, what happens when we eat raw foods? There's nowhere to hide. We're faced with all of our trauma patterns. We're faced with all of the feelings and the emotions we've hid from or run from our whole life. And that's what stops people. That's why people don't want to go raw, because it brings us face to face with what we don't want to feel. But look, if we face what we don't want to feel and we allow those feelings to wash over us like a wave, it moves, it transitions. This is what gives us a sense of purpose and spiritual growth and mental clarity and improved mindset and self mastery. So a raw vegan diet is a simple and gentle path to self mastery. Not only is it a wonderful practice every day to be self loving and to get intimate with our nutrition and whole food that is undenatured, it's a beautiful intimacy with our own self love. But by facing the emotional component of what we've been running from our whole lives and these trauma patterns that we don't want to deal with, we come into a new heightened sense of spiritual growth and spiritual potential and self mastery in our life that is really astounding. And this is the component that most people come to me for and help with, and what I love coaching people on. And really, you could call it shadow work, where we're facing parts of ourself, the shadow, unresolved traumas and emotions that we've not wanted to face. That shadow work is truly life changing. So it can set us on a trajectory in our life that we've been wanting to be on our whole lives and don't know why. We're unfulfilled. We work a job we don't like. We don't know why we don't have the self worth and the self esteem to make changes or to have the lifestyle we want or the marriage we want or the relationships aren't working. These are all our trauma patterns repeating over and over. So if we step into this level of self mastery, what's going to happen? We're going to have the clarity, the guidance, the intuition, the the hope, the dreams, and the vision for where to go next. And this is the most valuable part of a raw food diet, is that it gives us a sense of value for ourselves because we're investing in that self-love. It gives us a sense of vision where we can get an intuitive sense of where to go next and how to make changes in our life that will benefit us to become who we're meant to be. Maybe that's changing jobs. Maybe that's ending a marriage that's not serving us at the highest level. These types of big life changes. Raw food is a companion for this. Raw food doesn't fix our problems. No food is going to fix all of our problems. But the power of this intimacy with our self love and new sense of purpose in our life is a companion for the shadow work and for the transformation of becoming who we're really meant to be. So that's what I help people with, is doing it simultaneously. Do a juice fast to prepare your gut microbiome to eat more raw food, and at the same time be ready to face your emotional patterns that have held you back your whole life, and do that simultaneously. Now that is truly what juice fasting and raw food is all about. It's the highest level of support we can give ourselves for becoming who we want to be in our life and who we truly desire to be. It's an exciting topic to talk about.
It really is. I mean, I think of just calming the body down, just physiologically what is happening when we eat clean foods. And even as you know, we'll talk about cooked foods, plant-based foods, but how some of the cooked foods still contribute to inflammation. But what you're saying is all this, the juice fasting and of course then the raw foods really help to calm the body. So when you have that, it's like you're more centered, more focused. And because I've had my own experience with raw foods, I definitely feel like there is a huge component of self-care, of taking care of yourself and even becoming more deliberate in everything that you do. So now, I would love for you to paint a picture for us, for my listeners, of what a raw food diet looks like as opposed to a whole foods diet. I have in the past followed several influencers, so I know that there are certain foods that we promote that are not raw and so are not considered, like you mentioned, grains. So foods like black beans, legumes in general, and also grains are foods that are not incorporated, right, into the raw food diet?
Yeah, you can sprout certain legumes. There's a handful of legumes that are very, very wonderful sprouted. Lentils, specifically. I eat sprouted lentils all the time. I love them. They're very easy to digest for me now, but I did have to build up my gut strength and the robust digestive system and the microbiome to be able to eat large amounts of sprouted lentils. So that took me some time, like 6 months to a year, to really build up my digestive strength, but that's a worthwhile goal because the digestive system I have now can process all the raw foods, any raw food I want. It gives me really, truly robust health. So, unfortunately, denaturing the food, like through cooking grains and legumes, there's two main drawbacks to that. One is it's denaturing the fiber. So it doesn't give our digestive system the workout that it really deserves. Our species specific diet would be raw. We are animals after all, and every single animal on the planet eats undenatured food except for humans. We've become accustomed to cooking the food. It does denature the fiber, which makes it easier to digest, but it also then allows our digestive system to atrophy and we become weak. And then we have our hydrochloric acid becomes weak. And then we get acid reflux and we get SIBO and bacterial imbalances in the gut because of the denatured foods that create weakness. And so, if we have any digestive problems like bacterial overgrowth, candida, SIBO, leaky gut, any kind of bowel irritation at all, the solution is our species specific diet, which is just simply undenatured food. The other drawback to cooked grains and legumes, which of course is a staple in a cooked plant based diet, which I have been for 32 years of my life. So I'm just speaking with a lot of love and a lot of experience on this, is that it gives us an out of our emotional, transformational, spiritual purpose work because it's numbing. There's a numbing component to cooked foods. So if we want to live into our highest spiritual mastery, let's just practice more with the raw foods. So what I eat is fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds. You can sum it up like that. I focus on nutrient density and superfoods a lot. Okay, so the superfood component is interesting. I might have adaptogenic herbs like ashwagandha and maca root. I might have the mushrooms like cordyceps, reishi, lion's mane, and chaga. I have mushrooms every day. I have spirulina and chlorella, which are extremely nutrient dense and protein dense. Also, green juice powders, which are extremely dense in minerals and so easy to consume and wonderful. All of these components can be added to a raw vegan diet for nutrient density. And then fruits, of course, are wonderful, undenatured, filled with carbohydrates, the perfect food for humans. Fits in the palm of our hand. It smells delicious. It's beautiful. It's colorful. Fruit is really a wonderful staple of a raw vegan diet, and the simple carbohydrates in fruit are highly desirable for our species specific digestive system because the simple carbohydrates are just instant energy. We don't have to digest complex starches like grains, legumes, cooked starches, processed starches like pastas or potatoes. People love potatoes, and of course, everybody does, but it's a complex starch and it's hard to digest. And it goes through the digestive system very slowly. And it also creates blood sugar spikes. So if you eat a potato, you're going to be hungry. Potatoes are going to make you hungry. Where if you eat fruit and salad and nuts and seeds and focus on the undenatured foods, It won't create a blood sugar spike and it won't create a blood sugar dip, and you won't be hungry. But this is more advanced. In the beginning, raw food will leave you feeling unsatisfied and hungry until your gut microbiome adjusts. And that does take time. So there's what I call a detoxification period where our body has to go through an adjustment phase. That is temporary and it takes time and it's worth it.
How much time? I'm just wondering, if I wanted to get started on a fully raw, if I wanted to go fully raw, you would say then still you would recommend, because you have a protocol, but you would recommend me fasting. So start with the juice fasting and then go fully raw because I need to detox the body still.
Yeah, so I have a membership called Raw Vegan Heroes, which is my group coaching program. It's my membership. There's 650 people in the membership right now. We have a private Facebook group and everybody celebrates the lifestyle together. So that's available for people who want to learn and learn more. When people join that though, they get my detoxification guide. It's a two-part protocol. The first part is how to do the juice fast to eliminate all the waste out of the GI tract. It's a specific quantity and recipe of juices. We use psyllium husk and bentonite clay to help clean the GI tract. I also recommend enzymes, supplementing with enzymes to help break down the proteins. So I have a whole protocol as to how to clean out the gut. Okay, and that's an instant download. And then part two is how to rebuild the gut after a juice fast with raw foods. And I give the scope of an entire year. My membership is a year membership. So I give people the protocol and then the year of accountability and coaching to accomplish that goal. Most people can accomplish the transition in about a year's time. But to be perfectly honest and to paint a very realistic picture, it took me a year and a half, like I said, for my dermatitis to go away. So it could be a little bit longer than a year, depending on your health conditions. But after a year, your gut is going to be feeling strong. You're going to be feeling good on raw foods. And you might have the glimpse into a diet and lifestyle that could set you up to win, be youthful, energetic, and health problem free for the rest of your life after a year. And you know what? A year is going to pass either way. In a year from now, you're going to wake up and say, oh, here I am in a year from now. You can make the lifestyle change now and experience those amazing benefits, or stay on the path and the trajectory you're on now and end up with the same results you've always had. A plant-based diet is wonderful. I love a plant-based diet myself. I've been a cooked vegan, cooked plant-based most of my life. But if we incorporate more raw foods and move toward 80% or more living foods, and this is one thing I promote too, as in my group, Raw Vegan Heroes, becoming a raw vegan hero is really 80% or more living foods. I have a video course in my membership that's comprehensive guide on how to go from a non-vegan to a raw vegan hero. It's the whole scope. I call it a raw vegan hero because this is the hero's journey of personal development and identity change and emotional transformation and spiritual growth in our life. And what I define as a raw vegan hero is 80% or more living foods. We don't have to be 100% raw unless we're trying to reverse a health issue. We can utilize 100% raw for a period of time, but really 80% or more living foods in our diet is going to create that um, that level of health and vitality that we're looking for. So it's not an absolute. There's no perfection. We're not going for perfection. There's no finish line. We're not going to wake up one day and say, "Oh, today I'm perfect." It's about learning. It's about growing. It's about incorporating more raw foods, becoming who we're destined to be. You know, and so that's why I've invented my group program. It's a whole year of support for that level of accountability, and it works wonderful. I mean, the it's like a culture. I've created a
Mhm.
culture with my membership, Raw Vegan Heroes, and it really supports people in that identity change and the experimentation of who they're becoming. And that's the most exciting part. Is like, who are we becoming, and
Yeah.
becoming enrolled in who we are becoming, more self-loving,
Mhm.
more clear on who we want to be, more capable in our
Mm.
life, more of a leader, more inspirational, more of a healer. Maybe we love
Yeah.
helping others and we want to help others heal with a plant-based diet. Well, raw foods is the ultimate way that we adapt the healer's mindset for ourselves so we can help others.
Yes, absolutely. Tell us about Raw Vegan Rising, your YouTube channel. What can people expect when they check that out?
Yeah, I've been making YouTube videos for many years now. Have hundreds and hundreds of videos. I talk about my own personal experience. My channel is called Raw Vegan Rising. I'm also Raw Vegan Rising on Instagram and on TikTok. I've been using TikTok lately, and that's kind of a fun platform. If anybody's using TikTok, I'm on there as Raw Vegan Rising. And some of my videos on TikTok have hit millions and millions of views. And I'll tell you, the raw vegan message is confrontational to lots of people. So some of my TikTok videos that have gone viral are talking into a mainstream narrative that they don't want to hear this message of raw food. They like their meat, they like their processed foods, hamburgers and hot dogs. The standard American diet is strong in America. And so people are very resistant, and there's a lot of hate comments. I don't personally mind. I just speak my message either way. And that's my YouTube video are more in-depth videos. I go in depth of the purpose and the meaning of a raw food diet in our life. My new one that I'm releasing this week is called 3 Reasons Raw Food Heals All Disease. And a lot of people who are even plant-based will say that's not true, that raw food does not heal all disease. And I absolutely stand by what I say 100%. I'm deeply convicted about it in my soul. And I've learned through years of experience working with other people, my own experience, everything I've learned, that raw food does reverse all disease. And so not only does it reverse disease, it just brings us into alignment and purpose in our life in a way that's undeniable. So it's a worthwhile exploration. And following me on YouTube could be an important part of finding inspiration and information that would help you on your journey. So that's why I make YouTube videos, is to help inspire people and to give them the tools and the inspiration that they need to make changes in their life. So I would recommend following my YouTube channel, and on my YouTube channel is links in the description to my website and to my membership. So anyone who's interested in learning more about me and what I offer can find all of that on YouTube, Raw Vegan Rising.
Yes, absolutely. This has been incredible. I think you just convinced me to try the raw vegan diet once again because I
Yay, Maya.
recall, yeah, I mean, I remember how I was feeling back then. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with us as we're wrapping up?
I would just say, look, we have a lot of fear in our life of our own light and our own success. I mean, if anything, we're not afraid of failing. We're afraid of succeeding at the highest level and leaving our friends and family behind and outshining our family and our circles of influence. And it's okay to outshine people. A raw vegan diet will bring us into a resonance of our own self-mastery that will take us to a new level in our life. And it's okay to step into our own personal leadership and be an
Mhm.
inspiration to others. So instead of thinking about, oh, I'm going to leave behind my culture, my traditions, my family, think about it like I'm stepping into my highest purpose, my highest alignment. And when my cup is overflowing with joy and abundance and purpose and meaning and health, then others will naturally be inspired by that. And so it's
Mhm.
not about convincing anyone or even worrying about other people's experience. We have to help our own awakening, our own spiritual growth. And that's what a raw vegan diet really does. It helps us with our own spiritual growth. And
Mhm.
so let's just focus on ourselves first. If we're going to heal the world, we do that by starting with ourselves, and then we can help others. So all the fear, all the doubt, all the naysayers out there are just people who are afraid of shining their light at the highest level. And if you're someone who's like, I want to shine my light at the highest level, then eat more raw foods, juice fast, become a raw vegan, and feel it for yourself. And don't be afraid and don't look back, and just go for it and
Mm.
experience it. That's what I've done, and it's amazing and it's worth it.
Yeah, and you look great as a result.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you so much, Maya. I'm so
thank
grateful for
you.
you and offering this platform and having me on. Thank you for the work you're doing in the world.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being here. Great message, very exciting. And thank you for letting us know about all the work that you're doing as well.
Oh, you're very welcome.
You've been listening to the Healthy Lifestyle Solutions podcast with your host, Maya Acosta. If you've enjoyed this podcast, do us a favor and share with one friend who can benefit from this episode. Feel free to leave an honest review as well at ratethispodcast.com/HLS. This helps us to spread our message. And as always, thank you for being a listener.